Good evening. This is Kara Coffey of the History of Becoming More. I just let you see the first page of the poem, number 3, In the Wasteland, The Fire Sermon by T.S. Eliot. I began to work with it April 4th, 2022. The music I heard was ENYA's Dark Sky Island. When I was doing the artwork here, I'll let you see. I accidentally, but it was divine appointment, wrote sand. Sometimes the Great Spirit will come over me and I will write another word. It's interpretation of something. And in this case, what it is interpretation of is the sky falling. Heaven on earth. Sands of the seashore being people, numerous people, and how beautiful they are, not the wicked generations. T.S. Eliot writes quite a little bit about the violet hour, and I had to look it up. It's when the sun is setting, and a lot of times the sky will turn, or in some places, evidently, the sky will turn violet colored as the sun sets, but you always know that the sun is going to come up the next day. And the little blurb that I read, someone had done the same thing I'm doing, which is digested Mr. Eliot's work and had a discussion with themselves about it, said that Mr. Eliot is not pleased in this poem with that beautiful cycle, difficult cycle, depending on the cycle that you and I are in today. It's going to feel different, isn't it? Each and every season. And I can see in this poem where that is accurate. I will read, I didn't color the section that I'm about to read. Any artwork that I do will come from what you saw me color, and I drew the first rune with it, which is the self. Let me double check and make sure. Yes, the self, which is number 1, and Manaz. And what this poem through the runestone and vice versa is teaching us is simple. Let me read it straight out of Ralph H. Bloom's book. Indeed, Mr. Bloom is the one in his runestone book who led me to T.S. Eliot. I'm someone who had been a Christian and had adhered to the strictness of it with much difficulty in my life for over 40 years. But the ancient wisdom was always there for me. I think it's possible that's true for a lot of people who are controlled by different cults and religions, or simply controlled by surviving. So back to T.S. Eliot. Let's read. I already know because I've read enough of this, and I will continue to read it, so I will instinctively understand things more and more with Mr. Bloom helping us. A correct relationship to yourself is primary, for from it flow all possible right relationships with others and with the divine. And that is why, and just a little farther down, strive to live the ordinary life in a non-ordinary way. And I used to say it and write it and be it this way. I'm a spiritualist. A lot of super spiritual metaphysical things have happened around me and continue to happen around me. I get my dad back. I know what that means. I'm not going to say anything else. That's Hebrews 11. In the Bible, it's talked about. Immortality, and some of us like this, is talked about in numerous ancient texts. We are pontificated upon in Hollywood, much to my chagrin sometimes. But I would say, if you're gonna, because Christians, I was raised strictly and primarily Pentecostal Christians. In the charismatic world, it's called charismania for a reason. I got very tired when I was walking into churches that the inane laughter would start. I just wanted to go bitch slap them. I'm kidding, but I wanted to rebuke it in the name of Jesus. Yes, I can start laughing even uproariously, and it's because there is a superfluity, not of naughtiness, but of an honest to goodness, clear air spirit, and you will begin to laugh. But the thing is I've seen too many people on video misuse the inane laughter. In my case, it's not inane, it's honest to goodness joy. And I can control it. People will drum it up in meetings to be on video doing it. It's like being slain in the spirit can be false, but it can also be true. I speak in tongues. It's true. There's coming a time where I'm going to be able to interpret tongues. I have foreseen it. I foresaw it today. It's what the Apostle John says in the book of Revelation. It was up in the spirit. Well, T.S. Eliot does it frequently. There's some certain artists, musicians, that I can tell when they know when they're going up to heaven, but they will say it a different way. Frank Zappa is one of them, I can tell. I take people to heaven and let them know when they're doing it. I just had a divine appointment last Wednesday that was so gorgeous, so gorgeous. And the elderly gentleman and his wife, and we just had the best time. And he lifted both hands spontaneously. I have children who do it. I do it on purpose. I can feel the power of God coming, and I will lift, even in my car. It's just a direct response to the glory being revealed. It's what you do when the glory being revealed is in hell that makes the difference between morality and immorality when it concerns things like charismania. The discerning of spirits is at an all-time low. There's so much falseness. So I don't really have any answers there. But when I'm talking about another spiritualist, like T.S. Eliot, when I'm talking about another spiritualist, like Ralph H. Bloom, I have to be reverent of our spirituality, which is an ancient spirituality that primarily doesn't have anything to do with the modern day Christianity that you may make fun of. I would suggest you stop. I can make fun of your atheism or paganism in like 2 seconds. Many of you misuse your metaphysical side on a regular basis and do not give one fuck about anybody. So picking other people apart isn't the answer. Telling the truth when people are taking money for their spirituality is an appropriate response. A tarot master that you pay is not what I'm talking about. The Christian church needs to pay taxes, is what I'm talking about. I don't know about Muslim churches. I do know about Catholic churches. All Catholic and Protestant churches need to throw the child molesters, the rapers, the embezzlers in jail. You need to have people pay for their crimes instead of moving them around and covering them and letting victims be victimized more than once because of your arrogance and sin. So let me get this back to a gentler tone after I explained spirituality in a nation that is wholly apostate. Not completely, but there's enough lying in the atmosphere that I need to say it that way right now. I do see change. I do see hope. you're not going to understand or be made privileged with why I see hope anymore. You either take it or leave it with Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncovered No More. I am tired tonight. So let me read this about the violet hour, because having drawn the self, it's a little complicated. Let me explain it right now. I'm also doing a lot of work with J.R.R. Tolkien's The Silmarillion, but I referenced ENYA's Dark Sky Island. That's not a single. That's it's a CD, or it's an album. Excuse me. It's in my Apple Music, and I always forget what to call it. It's an album. I referenced it. Today's the 7th. In 3 days, wholly unaware of each other, because once was in a poem, once was in J.R.R. Tolkien's Silmarillion, a page of artwork. And so I guess I better show that to you as well. Because what is being communicated with T.S. Eliot and J.R.R. Tolkien is a couple of different things, but I'm going to level it to the poetry, because that's what I'm about to read to you. It is true in The Wasteland that T.S. Eliot is somewhat dark, because he's dealing with the in and out monotony of daily life. Ralph Bloom is correct. You need to monotonize some parts of your life and be thankful that you can do so. Habits, train your habits, it's in balance where your metaphysical side is concerned. But you need to have your wonder of life return to you in 2022 America. Part of the way you're going to do that is have pure politics. Right now, after everything that is said and done, if you follow the history of assassination in this country, and in others, but I will keep it to this country, you are going to understand that the Democrats are the ones that are carrying the torch of democracy. I am not saying they are perfect. I am saying that is the truth, because I know it is the truth, and it is really quite that simple. It was not always that way. So drop any contention. I'm staying out of the details on purpose. I am making a general wide sweep for one reason. There are way too many people using details to continue to fight when the war with Russia and Ukraine is serious indeed. We have some serious wars within this nation that gun control, taxing of churches, taxing of millionaires and billionaires, universal health care. They call them wars. I'm not going to call it a war as much as I'm going to say we need to do the correct thing. And it is an outrage what is happening in the Republican Party as it concerns the extremely criminal presidency of 2016 through 2020. Okay. So, on a private level, as an American citizen, adult, that needs to handle this, but also develop our own love relationship with ourselves and the unseen, the earth, particularly in the computer age that we're in the IT age we're in. Yes, it is very imperative to come back to our core. T.S. Eliot and Ralph H. Bloom are teaching us something here tonight, and that is appreciate the mundane, but continue to embrace your metaphysical side. Touch the deity, not only within, but without. Acknowledge spirituality again. It is a gentle craft to come back to ourselves. It is peaceful. It is love never fails. Doesn't have to be named Christian. Right now, that is the last word I want to use. Yet, I can can tell you that to get up into the heavenlies with the King of Kings, I have to ride the magic carpet of Christian worship because I was in it for so long. And I make no apologies. I'm a pagan. And I believe that there's Hindus and that there's Islamic people that can do the same thing with their music. I can't do it the same way, say, Bernice King, Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter, will, because her worship music, even in the Christian world, is different than mine. In the Pentecostal world, and I'm white-skinned, and so the genre is different. The genre is very different for all of us, and it doesn't matter. I will tell you right now, it doesn't matter. So, it is true that the violet hour is a time in this particular, the fire sermon in this particular poem, it is a time of depression for Mr. Eliot. You know, how many times do you not want to get up the next morning and face the fact that you have to go to work or whatever, and you still do it. But, oh, wouldn't you like to be set free from the mentality that doesn't want to? I can understand the reasons, and so can you for me. But there is a way to set ourselves free from that and to have joy, moment by moment. There's a way to structure joy in pain. It takes a lot of practice, and that's why I always recommend Runesteins. At the violet hour, when the eyes and back turn upward from the desk, when the human engine waits, the human engine, like a taxi, throbbing, waiting, I, Tiresias, though blind, throbbing between two lives, old man with wrinkled female breasts, can see, at the violet hour, the evening hour that strives homeward and brings the sailor home from sea. The typist home at tea time, clears her breakfast, lights her stove, and lays out food in tins. Out of the window perilously spread, her drying combinations touched by the sun's last rays. On the divan are piled, at night her bed, stockings, slippers, camisoles, and stays. I, Tiresias, old man with wrinkled dugs, perceived the scene and foretold the rest. I too awaited the expected guest. And so she has a boyfriend that comes. And what he is touching here, I see all over the place, including in my own family, an emotionlessness. And I will henceforth, and have been for quite some time, be an advocate for the return of emotions to us all. We must feel the poignancy of the times. We must understand the urgency of standing together in love never fails. We must reweave the annals of history in faith and in hope. Gandhi is our savior there. When it comes to coffee shops and house churches and Christian zones and house churches in forests and house churches and house churches and house churches, we have Watchman Nee in prison as our savior. He's back. Just today, I felt and knew, could not see, Florence Nightingale come. And it is because of what I was reading in in J.R.R. Tolkien's book, which is already on our website. It was a beautiful moment, mine alone. You can believe me or not. Call it fae tale, if you'd like. My spirituality did yard work, needed to take someone to work, talk to a neighbor, cooked a bunch for people, started some laundry and did some beautiful artwork and is now reading poetry. What did your beautiful self do? Do you have visions that you're afraid to share with anybody? Well, I'm not afraid. I am careful, but I'm not afraid anymore. And that is because the King protects me, as Trageda left. And I thank him again tonight. I'm going to close with the beginning of the poem that I colored because it's beautiful. It is a cacophony. Again, I want to encourage us when we put our feet on the floor. Can we begin the process? Shouldn't we begin the process? May we begin the process of turning darkness to light with every blink of our eyes by saying, I am glad the sun is up. Yes, I'm in pain, but I will face this day, and I will face the next, and I will someday come forth from this pain. Now, it is a different journey for the Ukrainians. It is a different journey for the Russian people who do not want this war. And my heart hurts. And the best thing that I can do in America is hold up the unified front of the pain will someday stop, and weep with those who weep. Not fritter my life away on nothingness. And that is what the fire sermon is screaming at, is the nothingness. We can walk unified, earthwide, with the purpose of love in the annals of history. And I can't say anything else, because to view the war that I have viewed in my short life, much less in history, takes the sunshine and the moonlight away all at once. And I say no. The earth is saving us with the seasons. I appreciate over and over again Barbara Streisand's song. We choose to forget. We cannot forget what Russia and Ukraine are suffering through right now. The Kremlin needs to leave the lands of Russia. They are murderers. Let me be clear. I'm speaking of the ancient ways of love here. So I will close with the first two stanzas, which are a contrast. The river's tent is broken, the last fingers of leaf clutch and sink into the wet bank. The wind crosses the brown land unheard. The nymphs are departed. Sweet things, run softly till I end my song. The river bears no empty bottles, sandwich papers, silk handkerchiefs, cardboard boxes, cigarette ends, or other testimony of summer nights. The nymphs are departed, and their friends, the loitering heirs of city directors, departed, have left no addresses. By the waters of Leman I sat down and wept. Sweet things, run softly till I end my song. Sweet things, run softly, for I speak not loud or long. But at my back in a cold blast I hear the rattle of the bones, and chuckles spread from ear to ear. A rat crept softly through the vegetation, dragging its slimy belly on the bank. While I was fishing in the dull canal on a winter evening round behind the gas house, musing upon the king my brother's wreck, and on the king my father's death before him, white bodies naked on the low, damp ground, and bones cast in a little low, dry garret, rattled by the rat's foot only, year to year. But at my back from time to time I hear the sound of horns and motors, which shall bring Sweeney to Mrs. Porter in the spring. Oh, the moon shone bright on Mrs. Porter, and on her daughter. They washed their feet in soda water A little humor there. We are in such a dark space, and we have the choice to bring the light.